Have you ever noticed how the more we grasp, the less we truly hold? Imagine a child playing with water in her tiny hands. She cups her fingers, tries to hold it tight, and the water slips through anyway, leaving only a damp reminder of what she tried to possess. And yet, when she opens her hands, when she lets it flow freely, she can splash, she can play, she can laugh. The paradox is simple, and yet it remains hidden from most of us. The more you let go, the more life gives you. We live in a culture obsessed with acquisition. We clutch ideas, possessions, status, and even emotions as if they were bricks to build a fortress against the chaos of existence. And indeed, in one sense, this is natural. There is a fear deep inside us, a fear of emptiness, of the unknown, of our own mortality that drives us to hold. But here is the twist. Life is not a thing to be held. Life is a dance, and you cannot dance while you are holding on. Consider the act of breathing. We inhale, we exhale, yet we never think to force the breath in or squeeze it out. We know instinctively that if we struggle, suffocation follows. Breath is life's lesson in letting go. The moment we relax, the moment we stop trying to control it, the lungs fill naturally, and so it is with life itself. Attempt to control it too tightly, and it slips away. Release it, and suddenly it moves, flows, and nurtures us in ways we could never have orchestrated. Most of our suffering arises from the attempt to make life conform to our rigid ideas of how it should be. We plan, we strategize, we clutch, and yet life has a way of laughing at our designs. The irony is exquisite. The very act of striving often blinds us to the living beauty of what is. Imagine walking through a garden while staring only at a map. You may arrive at a destination, yes, but you miss the scent of flowers, the rustle of leaves, the spontaneous song of a bird. To truly live, one must wander. And yet, letting go does not mean doing nothing. There is an art to surrender. It is not a passive collapse, but an active participation in the flow of existence. Imagine a surfer riding a wave. The moment the surfer tightens her grip, fights the current, or struggles to steer the ocean to her liking, disaster is inevitable. But when she yields to the wave, aligns with its rhythm, she moves with grace, speed, and joy unimaginable. Life is the wave, and we are the surfers, always tempted to grip, yet always invited to let go. The mind, you see, is the chief culprit. It constructs walls, lists, and schedules, imagining that security comes from control. And yet, the mind itself is a river flowing, restless, and impossible to pin down. You cannot hold water in a sieve, nor can you hold life in rigid concepts. Every time we try, we experience frustration, disappointment, and a sense of loss. But there is freedom in recognizing that control is an illusion, a mirage shimmering over the desert of existence. Let us speak, too, of love. Love, perhaps more than anything, teaches us the necessity of letting go. We cling to others, fearing abandonment, desiring permanence. Yet love, by its very nature, is fleeting, dynamic, and alive. Attempt to cage it, and it suffocates. Allow it to breathe, allow it to roam, and it flourishes beyond measure. Think of a bird. We may admire it in our hands, but only when we release it does it soar, sings, and fulfills its essence. In the same way, love expands when it is free, and contracts when it is imprisoned. Fear is, of course, the shadow companion to attachment. We cling because we fear loss. We grasp because we fear emptiness. But here is the paradox. The more we resist the inevitability of change, the more we are imprisoned by it. The universe does not negotiate with fear. The leaves will fall in autumn, the tides will rise, and the body will age. Resistance only sharpens the pain. Acceptance, on the other hand, softens it. When we surrender to the flow of time, we do not diminish our experience, we deepen it. We see, finally, that life is not something to secure, but something to inhabit fully. And what is this inhabiting fully? It is a curious, delicate balance. It is walking the tightrope between desire and surrender, action and stillness, presence and detachment. To live fully is not to conquer life, but to engage in its endless improvisation. Imagine a jazz musician. Each note must follow the rhythm, yet each note is born of freedom, of letting go of control, of trusting in the music. So too, life asks us to trust, to move with its unpredictable cadence, and to release the rigid demands of the self. Even our sense of self, the ego, is caught in this web of holding. We clutch our identities, our stories, our memories, as if they define us. And yet, the self is like a river mist, ever shifting, intangible, ephemeral. The moment we let go of the desperate need to be a particular way, we find a spaciousness in which life flows freely. We begin to realize that the ego is not the master, but the passenger. The moment of awakening is the moment you release the illusion that you are in control and notice that you have always been carried gently by the river of existence. Time, too, is a subtle form of grasping. We hurry, we fret, we attempt to push the moments into neat compartments as if they were toys to be stacked on a shelf. And yet, the present moment resists such manipulation. It is alive, unfolding, impossible to capture. The more we cling to the past or obsess about the future, the more we miss the delicate miracle of now. Letting go of the tyranny of should and must allows us to drink deeply from the stream of present experience. Every breath, every sensation, every fleeting thought is a jewel, revealed only when we stop clutching at the shadows. So what then does it mean to let go? It is not an abandonment of life, but a surrender to its inherent unpredictability. It is a recognition that the universe is a dance of opposites, joy and sorrow, creation and destruction, love and loss. To fight this dance is to stumble and strain. To yield to it is to move with elegance, to experience its richness, to find oneself woven seamlessly into its pattern. And in yielding, a remarkable thing happens. The universe responds. Life begins to pour forth its gifts, not as trophies to hoard, but as experiences to savor. Opportunities appear where there was only blockage. Connections blossom where there was only isolation, and understanding dawns where there was only confusion. The moment you loosen your grip, the river of life becomes palpable, tangible, and intimate. Yet, let us be clear, this is not a call to laziness or neglect. Life demands attention, engagement, curiosity. But attention unclouded by the compulsion to control is what we call wisdom. It is seeing the world without clinging, hearing without judgment, loving without possession. It is the art of being fully present while allowing everything to be as it is. Consider for a moment a garden left to grow naturally. If we insist upon pruning, shaping, and forcing, the garden may appear orderly, but it will lack vitality. Allow it space, sunlight, water, and it will flourish in ways that exceed imagination. Life, too, requires this spaciousness, the quiet surrender to natural growth, to the spontaneous emergence of events, ideas, and relationships. And what of happiness? The paradox here is acute. The more we chase it, the more it eludes us. But when we let go, when we cease grasping for delight, it arrives unbidden like a sudden breeze on a warm day, refreshing and unexpected. True joy is not a commodity to be owned. It is a byproduct of surrender, an echo of alignment with the vast flowing mystery of existence. Now, let us turn our gaze inward to that restless mind that perpetually tightens its grip, believing it is protecting you. The mind is a cunning steward. It whispers, "Hold on, if you release, you will lose everything." And we believe it. We clutch our possessions, our relationships, our very identities, as though to loosen our grip is to invite disaster. But consider this. Have you ever held a handful of sand too tightly? The grains slip through your fingers, and all your effort only leaves your hand raw. Yet if you open your palm, the sand remains, supple, shifting, abundant. Life is sand, life is water, life is wind. And the very act of surrendering reveals that abundance is not something to secure, it is something that flows naturally when the grasping ceases. Fear is the shadow companion to clinging. It is the silent whisper that says, "You will fall if you let go." And yet, what is the alternative? A life spent imprisoned in your own hands, striving to fix, to secure, to mold reality according to your wishes. Such a life is a shadow, a pale imitation of living. The truth, my friends, is that surrender is not weakness. It is an act of courage far greater than the desperate struggle for control. To yield is to acknowledge the vastness of existence, to trust in the intelligence that animates the universe, to recognize that your life is not merely a sequence of events to manipulate, but a continuous unfolding in which you are intimately involved. We fear letting go because we fear loss, yet paradoxically, it is clinging that brings suffering. How many of our moments are stolen not by the inevitability of change, but by our attempts to resist it? We fear the loss of love, and in trying to preserve it, we strangle it. We fear the loss of youth, and in attempting to cling to our past selves, we miss the beauty of now. We fear the unknown, and in our struggle to maintain the familiar, we imprison ourselves in a cage of our own making. And yet, when we loosen the grip, something extraordinary happens. Life begins to breathe in a way that is unmistakable, radiant, and immediate. There is a peculiar paradox in this. The act of giving up control is itself a powerful form of mastery. When you release the struggle, you discover that life, in all its complexity and unpredictability, supports you. Opportunities arise, not because you have manipulated circumstances, but because you have become attuned to the natural rhythms of existence. Connections appear not because you have forced them, but because you are present, open, and receptive. Understanding dawns not because you have conquered knowledge, but because you have stopped resisting it. Think, for a moment, of love. Most of us grasp love as though it were an object to possess, a trophy to display, a possession to secure. And in this grasping, love withers. The moment you attempt to hold another person tightly, you create resistance, friction, and ultimately, separation. Love is a living, breathing phenomenon, dynamic and ever-changing. Only when it is allowed to move freely does it flourish. Release, then, is not absence, but presence. Letting go of control in love is not emptiness. It is expansion. It is allowing the other and yourself to exist fully, to move freely, to blossom in unexpected ways. Now, consider the ego, that persistent voice in the mind that proclaims, I must maintain myself, defend myself, secure myself. The ego is, in truth, a construct, a story, a set of habits, a narrative of I that clings to continuity. We clutch our egos as though they are anchors, yet the anchor is precisely what keeps the ship from sailing. When you release the need to maintain a rigid self-image, you discover something remarkable, a spaciousness, a freedom, an intimacy with life itself. The self, once loosened from its grip, ceases to be a burden and becomes a doorway. The very act of letting go of identity allows life to move through you with grace, with creativity, with spontaneity. Time, too, is a subtle trap. We hurry, we rush, we push the river of life into neat compartments of past, present, and future, and in doing so, we miss the wonder of this very moment. Time is not a linear progression. It is a living, breathing continuum in which every moment is complete, self-sufficient, whole. When you let go of the obsession with schedules, deadlines, and goals, you do not fall behind, you fall into the flow. The present moment, often overlooked, becomes a radiant space where life can be tasted fully, where every sensation, every sound, every thought is a jewel of the universe. And yet, how do we let go without becoming passive? The paradox is subtle but vital. Letting go is not surrender to inertia. It is an active engagement with life, free from the compulsive need to control. Imagine a dancer performing without resistance to the music, yet fully committed to each movement. Every gesture is intentional, yet ungrasped, free, yet disciplined. Such is the art of living, a balance between action and surrender, between presence and detachment, between effort and yielding. Even our concepts of morality, virtue, and achievement can become forms of grasping. We strive to be good, to succeed, to leave a mark, as though life were a ledger to balance. And in this striving, the richness of existence slips away. True engagement is not in clinging to ideals or accomplishments, but in participating fully in the present, with awareness, with love, with curiosity. The universe does not require our approval, our management, or our approval. It only requires our attention, our presence, our willingness to move with it rather than against it. Consider nature. Look at the river, flowing effortlessly around stones, bending with the contours of the land, never resisting its path. Look at the wind, weaving through trees, lifting leaves, carrying seeds, yet never grasping, never demanding. Life is like these phenomena, fluid, dynamic, inexhaustible. To let go is to align yourself with this natural rhythm, to stop obstructing what is already occurring, to move in harmony with the current instead of fighting it. And in this alignment, a subtle, profound joy emerges. It is not the joy of possession, or of acquisition, or of conquest. It is the joy of participation, the joy of being in the flow, of moving with life rather than against it. The joy of realizing that the river was never yours to dam, yet it has carried you all along. This joy is spontaneous, unforced, and radiant, a reflection of the universe recognizing itself in you. So, we arrive at a quiet understanding. Letting go is not loss, it is gain. It is the discovery that the treasures of life, love, freedom, insight, peace, are not things to hold, but gifts that appear when the hand is open, when the heart is receptive, when the mind ceases its incessant grasping. The more you let go, the more life gives you. And the gifts are abundant, unpredictable, and exquisite beyond imagination. Now, let us sit quietly with this idea. The more you let go, the more life gives you. It is a phrase so simple, yet it contains an entire universe. You see, in the act of holding, we often imagine ourselves as the center of existence, as if the world spins according to our whims and fears. But the truth, the radiant truth, is that life is not something to be commanded. Life is a phenomenon to be entered, to be inhabited, to be danced with, and to be surrendered to. When you let go of the illusion that you must control every detail, you discover that the universe has been carrying you all along, tenderly, endlessly, and with inexhaustible patience. Think of a tree. It does not clutch the soil or force the sun to shine. It stretches, it bends, it grows where it is planted. Its roots intertwine with the earth. Its branches reach for the sky, and it flourishes not by coercion but by allowing itself to be part of the whole. So too, we are like the tree. When we release the compulsive desire to grasp, to control, to manipulate, we root ourselves in reality. Our branches extend, our lives flourish, and we find a natural harmony with the infinite dance of existence. And yet, the act of letting go requires courage. Courage not to conquer, not to dominate, but to fall into the arms of uncertainty. Life asks us to trust, to yield, to admit that our hands are not strong enough to hold the ocean in a cup. It is terrifying, yes. Fear will rise, thoughts will scream that surrender is weakness. But listen closely, for the mind, in its clamor, is mistaken. Surrender is strength, for it allows the infinite to move through the finite, the eternal to speak within the temporal, the whole to express itself through your singular existence. We are so preoccupied with the idea of permanence. We think, if I just hold on, I will secure happiness, success, love. But permanence is an illusion. Rivers do not stand still. Clouds do not linger. Children grow into strangers. Everything changes. Everything flows. And if we try to resist this flow, we suffer. Yet if we embrace it, marvel at it, dance with it, we awaken to a beauty far greater than anything rigid or fixed. Life's gifts arrive not through grasping, but through participation in its constant unfolding. Even our notions of achievement are illusions when held too tightly. Consider a musician improvising on the piano. The joy is not in the accumulation of perfect notes, but in the spontaneity, in the flow, in the act of creation that emerges when the mind ceases to dictate every movement. So it is with life. The highest forms of fulfillment do not come from clinging to ideals, outcomes, or security, but from allowing the music of existence to unfold, from responding to its rhythms with openness, attentiveness, and joy. And love, oh love, demands this same surrender. We attempt to own love, to fix it, to shape it according to our desires. But love is a river, not a pond. It requires movement, freedom, and trust. The more we attempt to grip it, the more it eludes us. But when we release our tight hands, when we trust the currents, love flows in abundance, overflowing, vibrant, and transformative. Letting go does not diminish connection, it deepens it, making room for life to surprise, to enrich, to astonish. Now, pause and consider your own life. How often have you been trapped in the struggle to hold on? How often have you clutched ideas, relationships, memories, and fears, believing that to release them would mean disaster? And yet, in the rare moments when you have let go, when you stopped planning, when you stopped striving, when you surrendered, even briefly, you felt it, did you not? That subtle, quiet sense of relief, of being carried, of moving with the current instead of against it. That is the first taste of the universe's generosity. It is the whisper of life saying, I am here. I have always been here. All that you have feared losing is already part of the dance. Time itself is a paradoxical teacher. We attempt to manipulate it, to tame it, to squeeze it into neat compartments, and yet it moves according to its own laws, indifferent to our calculation. The more we struggle with it, the more it slips away. But when we surrender to the present moment, when we stop resisting its flow, we discover that each instant is complete, whole, self-sufficient. Life is not a series of points to grasp, it is a continuous, unbroken experience, a seamless thread connecting birth, growth, decay, and renewal. In letting go, we step fully into this continuity. And here, at this point, there is a subtle, almost imperceptible shift. The self begins to dissolve, not in a violent obliteration, but in a gentle, welcoming expansion. The ego, the constant I that demands control, certainty, and permanence, relaxes. In its place arises something vast, intimate, and luminous. The recognition that you are not separate from the flow of life, but a part of it, inseparable and alive. You are not the controller, you are the river, the wind, the sunlight, the wave. And in this realization, there is freedom. Freedom, however, is not emptiness. It is fullness, it is presence. It is the capacity to engage with life without grasping, to love without possession, to act without obsession, to witness without judgment. It is a clarity that arises when the clutter of fear, attachment, and resistance falls away. It is a calm that is not stagnant but fluid, a joy that is not fleeting but radiant, a strength that is not imposed but natural. And so we arrive at the ultimate paradox. By letting go, we gain everything. By releasing control, we participate fully. By surrendering fear, we embrace courage. By loosening the grip on the self, we find intimacy with existence itself. Life, in its infinite generosity, responds to our openness, flowing into the spaces we create when we cease to struggle. This is the dance of opposites, holding and releasing, striving and yielding, knowing and not knowing. The moment you embrace this dance, you awaken to the subtle miracle of living. And finally, let us return to the child cupping water in her hands. She learns in her innocence what so many adults forget. Life is not to be held tightly. Life is to be felt, to be touched, to be experienced in all its fluidity and beauty. The water slips through her fingers, yet she is not diminished. She laughs, she plays, she marvels at the wonder of it all. And this, perhaps, is the most profound lesson of all. Joy, love, freedom, and understanding are not possessions to grasp. They are gifts that arrive when we open our hands, release our fears, and let life flow unimpeded. So, let go. Loosen your grip on the illusions that constrain you. Release your fear, your striving, your obsession with permanence. Surrender to the rhythm of existence, to the flow of time, to the unfolding of life itself. And in this surrender, you will find the abundance that the world has always offered, the gifts of love, connection, insight, and peace. You will discover that the river of life has never stopped carrying you, that it has always been there, and that, paradoxically, by letting go, you possess it fully. And now, breathe, feel it. Listen to the currents of your own being. The moment is enough. You are enough. The dance is already happening. You have only to let go, and life will give you everything.